he could not stand. On the morning of the 24th of April, 1547, on the western bank of the river Elbe in Saxony, the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V was carried to his battlefield on a litter. He was 47 years old. Gout had swollen his joints until his servants had to lift him from his bed. His army was about to fight the most important battle of his reign. He would watch it happen from where they set him down. The other side of the river was shrouded in fog. Charles had been chasing the war for 30 years. In 1517, a German monk named Martin Luther had nailed 95 arguments against the Catholic Church to a door in Wittenberg. In 1521, Charles had stood at the Diet of Worms and heard Luther refuse to recant them. The argument that followed had split the Holy Roman Empire in half. Protestant princes had formed the Schmalkaldic League. They had raised armies. They had built alliances. For a generation, they had defied him. In 1546, he had decided to end it. He had assembled 30,000 Spanish, Italian, Netherlandish, and German troops. He had made secret deals with Protestant princes who thought they would benefit from his victory. He had convinced the Pope to send money. By April 1547, he was marching into Saxony after the last Protestant leader still resisting him. Elector John Frederick, a giant of a man so heavy he could barely mount his horse. John Frederick was retreating toward Wittenberg when the Imperial scouts found his outposts near Mühlberg. He had 15,000 men. He scattered his army along the river and sent most of his pontoon boats downstream. He assumed the Elbe itself would protect him. The night of the 23rd, a local peasant whose farm had been burned by John Frederick's men came to the emperor's camp and told him about a ford. At dawn on the 24th, the Imperial army began to cross in fog so thick they could not see the opposite bank. Spanish arquebusiers waded into their chests and fired blind across the water. Troops under the Duke of Alba took a pontoon bridge intact. Hungarian hussars swam their horses across. By the time John Frederick understood what was happening, the first 5,000 men of the enemy were already on his side of the river. The battle lasted a few hours. The Saxon cavalry charged once and broke. John Frederick fought until a sword cut his face open from temple to jaw. He was captured in a grove of trees trying to reload a pistol with one hand. When they brought him to Charles, he knelt in the mud and addressed the emperor as his gracious lord. Charles replied that he was now Charles's prisoner. 50 imperial soldiers had died. 3,000 Protestants lay on the field. Titian painted the scene afterwards. The emperor, in full black armour, on a white horse, lance in hand, riding alone across the battlefield at sunset. The armour is still in Madrid. It is the only thing from the day that is not missing. The painting is a lie. Charles had never left his litter. He had watched the Reformation end on a foggy morning in Saxony from a chair his servants had carried there. 8 years later, he would abdicate everything. His empire would be divided between his son and his brother. The Protestant princes he had broken at Mühlberg would rise again within 5 years. The Peace of Augsburg in 1555 would grant every German ruler the right to choose his own faith. He had won the battle that was supposed to end it all. It had ended nothing. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Thank you.